The last one I want us to talk about before we jump to the good stuff, because we've always been talking about the asshole aspects. The whole issue of swearing. Like a lot of parents are like, oh, my child keeps swearing and I'm irritated and I don't know what to do. Or my child lies for the simplest of things and I don't know if I should punish. I don't know if I should take away privileges. What does the research say is the best strategy for handling lying and swearing in our children?
Yeah. So they're lying and swearing are similar in some ways and different in other ways. But I think what's important to keep in mind as a parent is that, kids learn based on what they're seeing around them. And we're probably not as honest as we think we are as people. There are a lot of social situations in which being dishonest is actually the expected thing or the polite thing to do. Like if you go to a friend's house and they make dinner and the dinner's really not good, you're not honest about that, right? You say, oh, this was great. Thank you for this. Or, you don't point out, oh, this was gross. I didn't like this salmon, even if that's what you're thinking. And so there's a lot of times that our culture actually expects, white lies and dishonesty. So when kids are lying sometimes, we have to keep in mind that they are seeing this mixed bag in terms of what's acceptable in terms of honesty and what's acceptable in terms of dishonesty. And there is this sort of, it's muddled. It's not a really easy thing for them to get. And so it can help to have conversations about, when it's okay to be a little bit dishonest and when it's not, and what are the situations in which you really expect your child to be honest. And I think too, we have to be really careful about how we respond to honesty. So let's say your child did something really bad, but they're honest with you about it. And they come to you and they say, you know what, I broke your favorite vase yesterday. We should do our best not to get angry at them in that moment because they have taken that risk of being honest with us. And yes, we might be so upset about that broken vase, but wow, they admitted that they did this. And so in those moments, sort of separating those two things and saying, you know what, thank you. This must have been really hard for you to be honest about this, but I really appreciate that. And it means so much. And I'm proud of you for being honest. And then maybe at a separate point, you have a conversation about what they could do to sort of remedy the situation of the broken vase or what they can do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Like maybe stop playing baseball in the basement, or whatever. But you don't want to, when your child is honest, you don't want to immediately get angry because of what they're honest about, because then that's just going to socialize them to not be honest. I mean, if they're getting punished for being honest, then the next time they're going to lie. Right. So with swearing, again, kids are going to hear swear words. Even if you don't say them in your home, they're going to hear them from their friends. They're going to hear them on TV, things that they get exposed to. And it's part of our language. I mean, these words, when kids are learning a language, they're going to just learn swear words. And that's just kind of the way it is. And we can't prevent that. Right. But what we can do is we can have conversations about when and why it can be appropriate to use swear words and when and why it's not. And we can say, look, that word that you just used, it's okay if you use it in your room when you're alone, but other grownups are not going to be okay with hearing you say that. So please don't say it at school. Please don't say it around other grownups, but you know what, if you want to say it in your room, that's okay. And so having them understand those circumstances in which they're acceptable and they're not. But you also want to make sure that if there's words that they're using that are, discriminatory or that fuel stigma, that you say, those words never okay to say. And here's why, and here's what they mean. And here's how they hurt people, and have them, there can be distinctions in terms of like which words are okay to use in certain circumstances, maybe, and which words are just so hurtful, they should never, ever be used. But yeah, sometimes just providing the explanations and the context for which swearing is okay is better than trying to just eliminate it entirely, because they're part of our lexicon, that it's going to be really, really hard to eliminate swear words entirely.
Yeah. I think that's hopeful for parents who are listening